Well, good morning, Selma, all citizens of this wonderful city. There's been much conversation going out throughout the community about events in our great and wonderful city. And I want to take this opportunity this time to talk with you as a citizen of this city, to hear from you, to answer questions that you may have about the confusion that is going on in our city. There are many who are saying that the city has been doing things to stop events from going forward, and I want to make sure that you are aware that's not what we're doing. When you elected me to be your mayor of this city, one thing we ran on our campaign, that was to keep Selma first. And every decision we make in City Hall as your mayor is to put forth the best interest for our city. And so I want you to be aware of what we're doing. We ran on transparency, we ran on accountability and integrity. And in this process, this is what we're doing. We're bringing this story to you so you will hear directly from the mayor's office. We don't believe you should have to hear outside of the mayor's office alternative facts about what is actually going on. There's policies we'll put into place to make sure that we're good stewards of the money or the resources that you provide for the operation of the day-to-day operations of the city. And in order for us to make sure that we are good stewards, we must make sure that we are good stewards of the budget we have when it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to public services, and so forth. We did some great things throughout this city. We are building a police department that you can be proud of in our city. We are cleaning up our city with our public works department. But in the midst of us doing that, we have emergencies that come up quite often. Over the past few weeks, we had emergency sinkholes in our city, which cost us over $70,000 to repair those sinkholes. So when we talk about being financial stable in our city, those are the things we have to take into consideration. The events that have been discussed over the past few weeks, those events were now part of our budget for this operating year. And so we want to hear from you if you have any questions about what is going on, to have a better understanding of the decisions that we've been making. We would love to answer those questions for you at this moment and this time. But thank you all for tuning in, for being a part of this conversation. Again, the mayor's office is always open to you, and we will make sure that we continue to provide this kind of platform so we can hear directly from you. We welcome event planners into our city. Selma is the birthplace of democracy. So goes Selma, so goes this nation. We have presidents that come to this town, not just for a festival, but they come here because of our history. We have tourists that come to here, this city, 365 days of the year, to march across that bridge, because that bridge means so much to us, not just here in America, but throughout this entire world. We have visitors from London, visitors from the UK. We have visitors that come throughout this entire world just to come to our historic city. Selma, I believe that God has blessed us and has uniquely placed us in the situation that we have to be good stewards of our history. Well, we cannot just commercialize our history, but we have to share that history with the world, to show the world, to teach the world how they can unify, how they can make a difference throughout their communities. And so here in Selma, every effort that we put forth in the City Hall is an effort to be guardians of that history. It's our responsibility, it's our due diligence to make sure that we guard our history. Many of our foreparents, they bled, they died for the history that so many wish they had throughout other cities in America. Listen, Selma is the Washington, D.C. of the South. That without Selma, we don't have what we have in these United States of America. We should count it an honor, a tribute, to know that we are citizens that are part of this wonderful city. And I believe that together we can yet change the world again. There's some great things that we're working forward to show people that here in Selma, we're not just a city that's stuck in our past, but we're moving boldly into the 21st century. One thing that I encourage you as a citizen of this city, to let us not be crippled by our history, but let us use our history as a launching pad to move boldly into the 21st century. I'm so excited about our future, Selma. I'm so excited about the things that we're going to do together. When you gave me the opportunity to lead this city forward, I count it as a humble privilege to be able to say the decisions that we make today will impact generations to come. We are restructuring government. We are streamlining services. What you will see tonight, we will be going before the City Council with a budget amendment to show you how we're trying to save money to make sure that we can operate efficiently inside this city. There's up to $25,000, $30,000 savings that we have in the budget once the City Council approves of the amendment that we are placing before them. So we encourage you to tune in what we're doing in the city. We're just being responsible stewards so you can be proud of the way that we're handling your taxpayers' dollars that come in on an annual basis. Now, in the meanwhile, there's some things that you can do to help make sure that our city is moving forward. What is that? To make sure that you put in your talents, you put in your efforts, that we can work together as a team to build our city. I believe from the west side of the city to the east and to the north to the south, we are only as strong as we are in each of these areas. So there's things that we are doing throughout this community, in Ward 1 through Ward 8, to make sure that all of us are prospering, to make sure that all of us are moving forward. We launched here at City Hall a few months ago a youth internship for ages 18 through 24. Kids from 18 to 24 to come down here and be able to work in city government and pay internship. We are trying to make sure we prepare the next generation of leaders to be able to be marketable in the workplace, to have resources, to have the opportunity to grow and to thrive in this historic city. We're also in the process of working with other businesses that you may have read about in the paper, that we had a business symposium where businesses are working with us to make sure they take advantage of the opportunities that are out there to hire more employees, to give people the opportunity to work in this wonderful city and the surrounding areas of Selma. So please, at any time, if there's any questions I can answer for you right now, please feel free to have a question. I see that we have many people who are tuning in, but again, we are grateful for this opportunity to serve as your mayor. Let me tell you something, what Bloody Sunday means to me, since that's the reason we tune in today on this going live. Bloody Sunday is very sacred to me. In 1965, the woman who I now call my grandmother, she was 19 at the time. She didn't know that what she was doing on that day would change the world. She didn't know at that time that she would have a grandson who would actually be sitting inside of City Hall as the mayor of this wonderful city. But she had the courage to go out and do something. She didn't complain about issues. She got up and did something about the issue. So often we find ourselves in situations in this wonderful city where people complain. It's time for us to stop complaining, and it's time for us to do something about the issues. Anyone can complain, but it takes leaders. It takes community effort to move forward and do something about the issues. And for all of those who have that same mindset, let's think about those in 1965 when there were issues that was paramount. There were young people like my grandmother, 19 years of age, that dared to put her life on the line to go out and do something about the issue. So what we need to do, we have issues in the 21st century. We have a generation that we've been losing. Let's be bold and do something about the issues. Fight each other, we're not going to solve any problems. But together, I believe we will continue to do great things in this historic city. I believe that we have positioned ourselves in such a way that when we come together as Selmians, black and white, male and female, young and old, when we come together as Selmians, oh, I'm telling you what a time it will be to see what our future look like. I believe our future is bright. It is bright because of the people who live in this city. It is bright because of the resources that we have in this city. Our city is bright because of the talent that we have in this city. I'm so excited about the businesses that we have, the businesses who are growing and thriving and who wants to do more in our city. Now it's time for all of us as Selmians to get up and do our part. What can we do? We are considered the queen city of the Black Belt. Whoa, what a beautiful city that is. A queen whose crown has been marred, but we are cleaning the crown again. We are putting the rubies back in her crown. We are taking out the dents in her crown. Why? Because she's a queen that should be lifted up and not a queen who should be taken advantage of. Selma, that's what we're doing. We are building our city to be the city that she ought to be. And I continue to believe if we build our city together, that there's nothing that can stop us from moving boldly into the 21st century. Yes, sure, we will have obstacles. Yes, sure, we will have challenges. But guess what? Because of the people power talent that we have in this city, we can overcome any obstacle, any problem, any challenge that we have. As a matter of fact, the greater we are, the more challenges we will have. But we are willing to accept those challenges. We are willing to move boldly into the 21st century.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I see we have a couple of questions. Is this the first time the city has charged the planners for this type of event?
So the question that we see on the screen is the first time that the city has charged for these types of events. From what we've witnessed through the minutes and in the clerk's office from the city council that this is not the first time that the city has charged for any services for event planners. This is the first time that the city has demanded that these services or the fees for these services be rendered to the city. So we're not doing anything new in charging for these services. Your hard taxpayers' money. You do not pay taxes for private planners to come in to have events. The taxes are paid to this city is to provide day-to-day operation services. That's not budget for private events. While we are willing to work with these private event planners, the event planners have to be willing to work with the city. We have to put Selma first. That's what we ran on this campaign. Shouldn't be a surprise to anyone what we're doing. We're putting our city first. And when we put our city first, we all win. So no, this is not the first time we've had fees been given out to event planners, but it's the first time that we are demanding, in order for these planners to come in to have these events, that they actually contribute to the city to have such an event.
So the non-profit or the event planners have never paid in the past, is that correct, sir?
Well, in regards to the event planners not paying in the past, they have emphatically said they will not pay. They have emphatically said they intend not to pay. They have emphatically said to us that they didn't need the services. The only reason they have gotten the services is because they were given to them. Well, if they were given to them and they were not needed, we're confused now on understanding what's the problem, what's the issue. What I do say to you is that this is the opportunity for those who want to plan events in our city to come to the table and say, yes, we want to put Selma first so we all can win. No one wins when no one is willing to come to the table to negotiate. We've actually bent over backwards trying to work with event planners. The recent event that we're talking about, the city actually contributed $5,000 towards the event. But yet, for the event planner, that seemed not to be enough. They wanted more. And so if there's more that's needed, there has to be fees that are rendered for those services.
Can you tell us what exactly happened?
What exactly happened with the event? So we've been in conversation in regards to, now soon we're talking about the Jubilee event. We've been in conversation for over at least 6 different meetings with a representative from the Jubilee organization. And the original fees was over $35,000 to provide police, fire, and public works services. However, we were told those fees at this time could not be met. And so we were willing to work with them to get to a comfortable area whereby we feel like we still can do what they need to be done in regards to services. And the number came out to be $23,000, which you may have seen in the news. Well, we was negotiating, understanding that we was trying to work together, but when we shared those numbers, it went public with it, and we weren't trying to make this political. We weren't trying to make it a public issue. But those event planners who took those numbers, they made it a public issue, and we're still willing to work with them. Listen, this is not about Sunday marching across the bridge. We open our arms in this city for anybody who wants to come and march across that bridge. And for those to say that we're charging people to march across the bridge, I say to you as the mayor of this city, shame on them. We're not charging someone to walk across the bridge. 365 days of the year, people come and march across our historic bridge. So that bridge will always be open to all Americans, to all citizens, to the world who wants to come and march across that bridge. But this is about Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Let me say that to you again. This is about not Sunday. This is about Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Services have been asked of the city to be rendered to these events, private events, I will mention, and free of charge. We cannot afford to do that. We are working to keep our streets safe. We are working to have more manpower out in neighborhoods to make sure that our citizens are safe. You don't pay taxpayers' money for private events, and we're going to be responsible stewards to make sure that your money is being spent well-wise.
How does the city plan to go forward?
How does the city plan to go forward with the Jubilee event? I assume that's the question. Well, again, it is not a city event. It is a private event. The city has contributed to this event in the past and will continue to be willing to work with those who want to work with the city. But again, for those who stand on the Christian principle, two can't walk together except they agree. We have to agree, first of all, that you have to pay for services if you want services rendered to you for your private event. We have smaller events that pay for services, so why shouldn't the larger events pay for services? So moving forward, we want to work with anybody who wants to come to Selma to make it a win-win situation for Selma and for the event planners. So that's how we will work moving forward. We will work with those who agree that both parties should win with any kind of event that goes forth in our city.
Is it true that the city is trying to take this over?
To be honest, in regards, is it true if the city trying to take it over? That's the same story we hear every year when people don't get their way, that someone is trying to take it over. What has really happened is the event planners have hijacked Selma's history. That history belongs to Selma. Doesn't belong to an event planner. Again, my grandmother marched on that bridge in 1965, and she has yet to ask for a dime. Why is it that those who feel like own history feel like they can ask for a dime? Listen, that's our history. That's America's history. That history is open to the world. As I said earlier, so goes Selma, so goes the world. We have presidents, we have members of Congress who come to this wonderful city, not because of the event planners, but they come here because of our history. Yes, that history belongs to us. And once again, we must be guardians of that history. We shouldn't be those who commercialize that history. Because when they were marching on that bridge in '65, no one was thinking about how can they capitalize financially off that history. They were doing what was right, based off the obstacles and the challenges they faced during that time. So let us do the same thing. Let's not say to ourselves, how do we capitalize off history? Let's say, how do we take our history and move boldly into the 21st century? I do believe those who continue to look back in their history and try to relive that history can never move forward. History is to remind us. While we look back, we continue to move forward. And so we're moving forward in Selma. Yes, that's our history, but where can you go in the world to find a city that's so rich in history, but yet is moving boldly into the 21st century? That's our Selma. That's the Selma that we should be excited about. Yes, we have history. The world comes to our city because of our history. But we are more than just our history. We are a city that's still thriving to be a major city in the 21st century. So Selmans, again, let's not use that history to profit, but let's use that history to change our community again.
What services does the city provide for the Jubilee?
So what services does the city provide for the Jubilee? Well, the Jubilee has over 50 events. They have asked us to provide security at these events. When they have food vendors, we have to have the fire department available. And for cleanup services, we have to have public works available. These men and women who work in these departments, we have to make sure we pay them for those services. They are taking the time away from their family, taking the time away from their daily lives to provide services for a private event. So when you look at the cost of it, it's based off what has been asked of the city. Now, if the Jubilee wants to do private events on private property, they don't have to request those services from us. But they cannot do private events on public property and expect to be able to function without the city being involved. And so those are the type of services that we are rendering. They are basic, essential services that goes on city streets. And so we just ask those organizations who want to have events on our streets to make sure that they partner with the city to make sure they can provide the services that are so desperately needed for events like that. And we're talking about a magnitude of events in regards to people coming in. We got to remember, we live in a day and age where public safety is paramount. Selma is a historic city, and we got to make sure that we guard her and protect her at all costs. And that's what we're doing here at City Hall. We're guarding and we're protecting your city.
Do you know if other cities ask private event planners to pay? Is this common?
Can you, what that question is again?
Do you know if other cities ask private event planners to pay? Is this common?
Well, all cities ask private events to pay for them. It's not new. For some reason in Selma, there have been event planners who feel like they shouldn't pay the cities as if the city belongs to them. No, the city does not belong to one individual or one group. It belongs to all the Selmians. This is a wonderful city that we're only doing what is standard across the board, from Birmingham to Montgomery, all the way to Tuscaloosa and Huntsville. This is nothing new. For too many years, Selma has sat back and allowed event planners to come in and dictate to the city what the city should be doing. That is not how government works. We elect people into office to lead our city, to be bold in regards to doing what's right for our city. And so, no, it's nothing new, but it's something that we actually implement now as we move forward as a city. And so the question is, who is profiting off this event? Well, it's quite obvious the city has not profited. When we look at our budget, taxes are flat across the board. When we look at the revenue that we lose, it is draining our budget. While others would say they're not profiting, you have to look deeper into how profit actually go forth. If the question I would have to our citizens, if the event planners are not profiting, why are they fighting so much for something they're losing money on? People don't fight for for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because they're losing money. If it was about marching, Sunday would be the main focus. And that's what I'm saying to you. The march will continue. We will continue to move forward. But the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which services have been asked for the city, we cannot afford to do that as a city. And we will not do that as a city unless people are willing to render the fees that would take for us to move forward as a city. Listen, Selma, we're not in a combative mode. We believe that we are one Selma. Those who would try to divide us, those who would try to put division among us, we say no to you today. We say yes to Selma, yes to this Queen City, yes to a city that's ready to show the world that yes, we're not back in 1965, we're in 2017, and we're moving boldly to change this city for another generation that they can look back and say because of what they did in 2017, Selma is stronger, she is brighter, and she is the hub of not just this black belt, but she's the hub of the southeast part of the United States. Selma, it's been great talking to you today. We look forward to talking to you sometime soon. And yes, we love our history. And I'll say this to those, I'll share my faith with you. When Joshua crossed over into the promised land, they crossed the River Jordan, and the priests left stones out there. And they said they left stones out there so when the next generation looked back and say, what do these stones mean? They would look back and say, these stones is what got us over, what caused us to go into the promised land. But notice, they could not get into the promised land by continuing to going back to the stones. The stones was reminders that there was a struggle. The bridge is a reminder that there was a struggle. But we can't keep looking back to the bridge, expecting to move into the promised land. We still must move forward together as a city. Until next time, God bless you, God keep you, and let's put Selma first.
You're praising over here.